Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Monday Night Travel with Rick Steves Europe. My name is Lisa Friend, and I'm delighted to be your host this evening as we explore 95 countries with our guests, Debbie and Michael Campbell.
Hey.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
So before I let them share their wisdom with you, I'd like to share a few introductory comments. So first, remember, you can find and register for all future Monday Night Travel shows on our website, ricksteves.com. That's also where you will find a full archive of our past shows. My wonderful colleague Emily is behind the scenes helping me corral your questions into our traditional Q&A question and answer session at the end of the show. And she's also posting a variety of resources and further information in the chat widget. So I would like to welcome you, Debbie and Michael, to Monday Night Travel. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Lisa.
Yeah, really fun.
So I want to let our people know, the audience, and some of them I'm sure already know, that you are the Senior Nomads. That's your moniker. And you have traveled to 95 different countries in your 12 years on the road. So what were you doing before you became Senior Nomads?
Oh, sometimes it's a blur. We were doing what everybody does. We have 4 children. They're all grown now. So we had careers. Michael's in sports promotion. I had an ad agency and graphic design company. We volunteered in the community. We went to soccer matches and baseball games and science fairs and did all those things that you do. And then we became Senior Nomads. Just wasn't just like that, but it happened.
Yeah, we were in Seattle, living in Seattle. That's where we lived most of our lives. And our daughter, one of our daughters, Mary, was home visiting us from Paris for Christmas in 2012. And somehow the conversation got around to, did we know anything about Airbnb? And we had never heard of Airbnb. She opened up Debbie's laptop and said, hey, take a look at this. And so we learned that Airbnb had just started a few years before that, that you could live in other people's homes around the world by, sitting in your laptop and browsing through all sorts of cities and homes. So at first, the idea was for Mary, maybe you could retire and travel the world. Mm-hmm. That seemed crazy to me. How could we afford to do that? How could this possibly work? But we started thinking about it and discussing it. And Debs, what?
Well, I think we just got fascinated by the idea. We were looking for one more adventure. We always said we had one more adventure in us. And I think Mary really hit the right nail on the head at the exact right time, because Michael just started crunching numbers, which we can talk about in a minute. And it just seemed to work for us at that very moment. And so off we went.
We traveled a lot before, and we'd lived overseas twice. And on the refrigerator, there was a list of 37 countries that maybe I wanted to visit. And I have that same piece of paper. I've kept it all this time. And a kind of a route of where we would start in Copenhagen and kind of go through Eastern Europe and so forth. So I think maybe Mary was kind of marrying the idea of, have you ever heard of Airbnb? Gosh, you could retire. I know you want to travel some more.
Oh, coupled with, I live in Paris with your grandchildren, so maybe you could come here more often. I think that was the ulterior motive.
That was probably part of it. So that was in December of 2012. 3 months later, after crunching some numbers, we said, okay, let's do this. So what does do this mean? What it meant was both of Debbie closing down her ad agency that she's had for 25 years, me giving notice where I was working. and us thinking about renting or selling our home and putting stuff in storage.
Well, getting rid of selling most everything.
Okay, so by July of 2013, in other words, 6 months later, we were on a flight on July 6th to Paris, and off we went.
Wow. Okay, and we're going to talk about financial guardrails and crunching numbers later on in the show, right?
In the first
Um,
chapter.
In the first chapter. Okay.
First lesson.
I want to say that to me, what was very interesting about your plan, and I think you're probably going to say this, so I hope I'm not stealing your thunder, is that you wanted to retire and live in somebody else's houses. You weren't going on a trip to sightsee. You were going to have your regular retired life. You were just going to do it around the world. Is that fair to say?
We had a hypothesis that if we sold everything, including our house, and reduced all of our expenses, so no car payment, insurance payment, mortgage payment, all of
Yep.
that, could we travel the world, living in other people's homes for the same amount of money, or maybe less, than we would have spent retired in Seattle sitting in our rocking chairs? And I think that's the hypothesis that we went out and tested.
Yeah, right, that's exactly right. Because we didn't see how we could just go travel and have a home and have cards and car insurance.
And we weren't on vacation. We were not setting out to go see every tourist site there was in Europe. We were just going to go and open the front door and live. I mean, there were days that we didn't leave the Airbnb. We played Scrabble, did laundry, paid bills, went for a walk. I mean,
And I think the most important thing before we talk about the lessons that we learned during the 12 years was we only went for 6 months. I mean, we had no idea how long this journey would last. But we bought round trip tickets, Seattle to Paris in July and coming home in December. We came home for Christmas that year, and looked at each other and said, well, what do you think? How's it going? Do you want to keep going? And Debbie said, okay, let's keep going. So after Christmas, we got on another plane, probably went back to Paris to see Mary. And then we traveled for 8 months. We came home in August of the following year for our younger son's wedding.
Had to be there.
Had to be there for that. And so after that, we looked at each other and said, well, now what do you think? And the answer was,
what was our first one-way ticket?
yeah, so we just started buying one-way tickets. And with the idea that we don't know how long this is going to last, but it seems pretty good so far.
And then we kind of forgot to come home.
Yeah, we kind of forgot to come.
12 years later, here we are.
Okay, well, we're going to talk about this book, but I would like to propose a toast
Okay.
with my friends. They're not my new friends. I've known Debbie and Michael for quite a long time. Cheers.
Cheers.
But they just had a book come out, and it is called 12 Lessons from 12 Years of Travel, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So forgive me for a moment while I do this. Okay, you're all seeing Debbie and Michael?
There we are. So the book.
The book.
So we wrote a book 10 years ago, but it was really more about our Airbnb experiences.
Mhm.
And it was called Your Keys Are Home. And it was written kind of to hosts from a guest perspective to say, hey, this is what it's really like to use the platform. And also it was full of our travels at that point. And so I ticked a box that said I wrote a book and felt good about that. And then over the years, people have said more than once, you should write a book. It's like, well, I have written a book. And then it's like, well, you should write another book. It's like, should I? You read a book. But anyway, I think what happened was a year ago, we set our duffel bags down and we wanted to commemorate that end of 12 years of full-time travel. We're still traveling, of course. But I said, I think I could write a book about things that we've learned on the road. And it kind of just evolved into 12 lessons from 12 years of travel. And here it is today.
Okay, well, the first lesson is numbers are your friends. And why are we talking about numbers at the beginning of your journey?
Well, we couldn't have had a journey if Captain Spreadsheet over here hadn't crunched all the numbers and put a budget together.
Yeah, I mean, so we've told this story many, many times, and often people are looking at us going like, well, I mean, how rich are you? And so we feel very blessed. We have quite a few resources, but maybe not as many as people would think. And so in order for us to do this, we had to establish a budget. And that budget was really built off what we were spending to live in Seattle when we were working. And so I did a low, a medium, and a high, and I estimated what we might spend for hotels or
Yeah,
Airbnbs or,
hotels.
okay, Airbnbs.
Those got scratched off the top.
Okay. And so off we set and tried to figure out if we could stay within the budget. The reason that we decided to make numbers the first chapter is we realized quickly that we needed to stay within our financial guardrails. And if we did, then as the world keeps turning and investments keep returning a certain amount of money, we could do this for the foreseeable future.
It was sustainable.
And so
Sustainable, that's a good,
Sustainable.
sustainable.
so tracking our spending every day was really critical. And if we did that and we knew exactly what we were spending, then it gave us the confidence to keep going. I think that's the most important thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, and we traded all those expenses that we had in Seattle.
Yes.
for
Your
travel,
cable, your
airplane.
car
Yeah, we
insurance,
turned into
and-
airplane
yeah.
tickets and train tickets and Airbnbs and, we said at the beginning that, people ask us, well, how long will you do it? As you mentioned, the length of time we went and it got longer and longer, and we decided based on our resources and if we kept to our budget that we could keep traveling as long as we were.
Say it right to the
Oh,
camera.
I'm gonna tell you, I'm not gonna tell you, I'm gonna tell you, we are, as long as we were learning every day.
Yeah.
Having a good time.
Yeah.
Staying close to our budget.
Yeah.
We were in good health.
Yeah.
And we were still in love.
That's why we were going to keep doing it.
That's
Yes.
why we're gonna keep, and
And we did it.
we did it, and all those things are still true.
Oh,
They are the most adorable couple. They really are. Okay, do you want to go to lesson number 2?
Sure.
Okay.
Oh, show our bags, show our.
Oh, yes.
Let's show people what we actually left with. We've got that.
Yeah, we do. Hold on. Let me
So
click. There we
This
go.
is not the day we left, but this is everything that we were traveling with. So see these big bags. So in our next lesson, we can talk a little bit about what's in those giant bags, but we're not lycra wearing one carry-on fanny pack kind of travelers. We liked our things and we took our things.
So those bags we got at REI, and we got one of those little fish scales that you can weigh your suitcases.
Oh, gosh.
And so just before we went to the airport, we would always weigh the scales. 23 kilos, the maximum you could have, and we were putting things in our pocket and stuffing things in our jackets when we were over, or loading up our backpacks, whatever we did. But anyway, we took what we needed because we were living our lives every day, and we wanted to have certain things with us. And so anyway, we filled those
How,
every day for 12 years.
I'm going to digress because I do have a fairly popular carry-on packing video. How big were those bags?
Oh, gosh. They
We saw them in the picture.
expanded to fit the need, but they easily carried the 23 kilos that we could.
And
Okay,
and
so
Rick Steve's packing cubes, that's not an
Oh,
ad.
yep, that's not that we love.
We
them.
could not have
No.
done this.
No,
I apologize.
They
That
really
looks
are.
like that's a promo, but
no, they've all heard me say it. But also those packing cubes, I think, were probably really important in a duffel bag situation.
Oh, yeah.
You organize.
oh, otherwise you'd unzip it, it would. But anyway, I laugh at some of the things I took at the beginning, but we can talk about that in
We are going to talk about that because there's something that I find very charming and interesting that they brought along, and that is lesson number 12. So
Two.
we will, no,
two.
it's no, we're going to lesson number 2. The thing I
Oh, I
to
see. Oh,
pique their
So-
interest about
We
is
said it, keep it
oh, okay.
on track. You're so right.
Sorry.
that is perfectly fine. Okay, so let's see. They should see this lesson 2. Treasure experiences over possessions. So from reading the book that you guys have written, I think this is another way of saying your mantra. So what is your mantra?
Well, we overpacked, that's for sure. We took more things than we
I
needed.
thought we just said we took what we needed.
Well, but I think we learned that we overpacked, and we learned that you could reduce some of that weight, can't we all?
Mhm.
And we learned that if we were gonna buy something new, we had to toss something out. Just talking about treasures over
Oh,
possessions.
Great.
But then we really got it down to, you know what? If you can't eat it and you can't drink it and you can't get somewhere on it and you can't attend it, don't buy it.
Okay, so you need to eat it, you need to be able to eat it, drink it, ride on it, or experience it.
Yep.
And then it's worth your money and your limited packing space.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think about possessions, when we were leaving Seattle, like everybody who's tried to downsize, it's really hard, like what to keep, what not to keep. And in our case, what we decided to do was kind of keep some stuff, like a 10 by 10 storage unit stuff, which we got a storage unit first time we'd ever done that. And then in retrospect, you could say, well, why did you store all that stuff for 10 years? We were 12 years. I don't know why we did, but we did.
Human nature.
Yeah, it
The
is.
fun part is, we've been back for a year and we've just bought a condominium in Edmonds, so we've been unpacking some of that stuff, and it's kind of
There's some treasures.
some treasures, also
Yeah.
some good guffaws, like
But-
what? is
But
that?
I think the main thing is we didn't miss possessions.
No, we didn't.
We had incredible experiences, which you can just imagine in all these countries, and 12 years worth. I mean, you can make a
And we are going to talk about some of them
endless
tonight.
list of those. Yeah. But I think we were happy not to have possessions. Now, I'll tell this one quick story, is that in the Middle East, we ended up maybe in Turkey or someplace, in a carpet place, and you see those beautiful woven carpets, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we should really have one of those. And then the salesman says, yeah, that's perfect for you, whatever. So, well, funny enough, we don't have a home. I don't have a home. Oh, that's no problem. I can keep it here until you have a home.
For years. It's 10 years, doesn't matter. It'll
So
be
anyway,
over
we
here.
didn't buy the carpet, but we did resist buying things, because I would say, if you go into a shop and you have your home, and you say that would just be perfect in the hall on that little table, we put that piece of art would be just perfect. So we didn't have a table and we didn't have a hall, so we didn't buy whatever it is that you would normally buy.
That's right.
Excellent. Do you have anything you want to add, Debbie?
Oh, no, not at this time.
Okay.
But would we talk about an experience or two here? Or do you want to do that?
We can talk, experiences over possessions. Yeah.
Well, as Michael said, I mean, there are hundreds if you think about the number of countries we went to and the opportunities that we had to do things. But a couple that were really interesting is Michael can tell us about a baseball game we went to in Tokyo.
You were in sports business. is
I'm
that
in the
right?
sports business, exactly. And yeah, so we decided we wanted to go to a baseball game in Japan, but we didn't have tickets, and we went there and it was sold out. But we really wanted to go in. So fortunately, my intuition spotted somebody who looked like an executive standing by the ticket gate, and I approached him and kind of told him some story about Ichiro in Seattle and Suzuki, and he had played on the same team. It was the Seagulls, whatever it was. No, the somebody Gulls or
The
whatever.
Oryx.
Oh, maybe they're what it is. Anyway, somehow I managed to talk our way in, and he gave us 2 free tickets, and we were treated like VIPs. It was a fun day.
And then in Samarkand in Uzbekistan, where I think a lot of people are going these days. I think it's becoming a very
It's a
popular
hot,
destination.
spot.
We loved Uzbekistan, and we were there in Samarkand, and we were going to go to a tourist attraction that was new. It was built on a canal, and it was a replica of a traditional Uzbek village. And even our hotel, we're in a hotel in that case because Airbnbs in Uzbekistan are not as popular, maybe, or why we were there, I don't remember. But the hotel owner was like, sure, go there. And he sent us kind of to the wrong side of the canal where it was. And we could kind of see where we were supposed to go, but we had a body of water to cross. And I looked down the hill to the water, and there was this beautiful vintage yacht, and there was a man in a suit waving at us. Come down, come down. It's like, okay. So we waddled down there and said, what's going on? And I thought it was maybe a ferry. He said, no, come with us. We're having a party. We're celebrating the opening of this village. And so we got on board with 8 investors, businessmen who had been on board for quite some time. They were, as I say in the book, they couldn't tell the difference between vodka and water.
Oh,
So they were just having a great time. And we were adding to their great time, dancing to the Bee Gees and going on a canal tour. And then we got to the place we were going to. And then they invited us to a 6-course meal, and out of nowhere brought us golden velvet black velvet robes just embroidered all over with gold, and hats with tassels and gold sandals, and took us outside of this, into the courtyard of this tourist place, and introduced us as, I'm not sure what they said, but we were
The
VIPs.
king and queen
And
of
then we
Uzbek
were
village.
dancing with the people and the locals, and it was amazing. It was amazing.
Wow.
And last but not least, we went to a wedding in Bukhara, and this picture will kind of say it all. This was our hosts. The man on the left is Asmat. He was our host, our Airbnb host, and we arrived on the day of his wedding. And he was so gracious and kind and got us into our rooms, and he was giving us breakfast, but you could tell he was like sweating, like, have to go, getting married. So he said, and please come this evening to the wedding.
Wow. So you just booked an Airbnb and it came with a free wedding
Yes,
invitation.
totally
And,
true.
oh my gosh, this gives you an indication of kind of what that wedding might have been like. Yeah, there was crazy food, crazy night, and we had the clothes to wear because we wore our golden embroidered robes
That you just gotten.
that we just gotten the day before.
Oh my gosh.
It was great.
She looks like a doll. She's so pretty.
Yeah, and he looks terrified.
He does. He does. Let's see. Okay, so we're going to go on to our next lesson, which is lesson number 3. Curiosity is the ticket. So besides wearing golden robes and going to weddings, what other kind of experiences did curiosity lead you to, and why is it an important quality in a traveler?
Yeah, I think being curious, lifelong learners is what drives a lot of us to travel. We want to
Absolutely.
what's on the other side of the hill, and how do they do that in another part of the world? And so I think it's a trait that all of you that are watching here, are probably travelers or would be travelers or future travelers. And I think the through line through all of that is curiosity. So the one thing we might talk about is that I became really infatuated or interested in the Soviet Union. I was a race car driver 100 years ago, and it got a chance to race in Europe and behind the Iron Curtain in East Germany. And that really made me aware of the Soviet Union. And so when the Soviet Union broke up in 1991, we started thinking, well, gee, we've been to a few of those countries because there used to be one country. Now there's 15. And we've been to 3 or 4 or 5. Why don't we go to them all? So curiosity drove us, and we eventually went to all of them. That's the kind of Kazakhstan and Turkmenistan and Tajikistan, Armenia and Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, whatever. Anyway, it was so rewarding. So I think curiosity delivered a great reward for us.
Yeah, and also going to Riga to the World Choir Games. We were in Paris, and our daughter lived near Sacré-Cœur in Montmartre, and we were walking home from dinner one night and decided to go up that big stairway that's maybe some of you have been up to the cathedral, and we heard these teenagers laughing, teasing each other, and then they burst out into a cappella singing.
Ooh.
Back and forth, and we was like, that is amazing. So of course, what is that? So we marched up and asked them what they were doing, and they had just finished rehearsing for a choir competition that was going to be the next day, and it was the winners of these various competitions would end up going to the World Choir Games in Riga.
Latvia.
Thank you. He's facts and figures and locations. I'm food, fun, and doodles. But anyway, Latvia. 2 months later, we went there because of that. I mean, it
Oh.
wasn't on our agenda. It was like, we got to go to that. And it was also in the purview of the travel plan that we had to be that part of the world anyway, but
Yeah.
it was amazing.
I
So
think-
much song and so much beauty and
I was just going to say quickly, one other curiosity thing led us to Chernobyl,
oh yeah.
which is in the Ukraine. And those of you that are older will remember there was a explosion at the nuclear plant, and a very bad one in 1986, I think is the year. And in any case, now you can go in limited numbers in highly controlled travel situations with a Geiger counter to go and see what the site looks like today.
You have to carry the Geiger counter like this, and if you go off the trail, it goes tick, 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 and you have to go back on the trail. It's like,
So
that's,
Oh
we're
my
curious and we got
goodness.
to do
Yeah.
a lot of things.
Yeah.
How's that?
I think for our audience, Cameron Hewitt, I think also went to Chernobyl because he's a little bit younger than me, but that was formative in our teen years, that happening. And so he went and he wrote a blog post about it for people who also would like more information about Chernobyl. And I think that the audience is having a very nice time, according to my watch. Emily is sending me messages, but they would like us to speak up a little bit.
Okay.
So we
Great.
project a little bit more.
Okay. Well, and the thing about, having visited Ukraine, bringing us to current times, we got in touch with our Ukrainian hosts just to see how things were, and we haven't been back to them, but I'm so glad that we were able to go there. And I think that's one of the joys of, well, not the joys, the responsibility, the joys of travel. And Rick's book about travel as a political act. I mean, going to countries where now you can read about in the news and can really picture what that looks like.
Do you remember what month it was that the World Choir Games were in Riga? I know that's a lot. I'm putting her really on the spot. I apologize.
It's like a date and a place and a time thing.
Oh, a date and a place, a time thing. Well, that must
Okay.
be Michael's.
It was summer.
It was summer.
It was warm.
Well, because Riga has a history of the singing revolution,
Yes,
and so
That's
to
exactly
go
right.
there and then see the World
Oh.
Choir Games,
Yeah.
I think that would be
Well, they
fascinating.
enacted the singing revolution while we were there. So there was a big, the holding hands and singing. Yeah, it was amazing.
Oh, that is wonderful. Okay, so the next lesson that we have is my ability to share the screen. The next lesson that we have is lesson number 4, which is we are the foreigner. So what caused that shift in your perspective to say we are the foreigner? And is that coming up correctly? There, we'll try that again. We are the foreigner.
I think the genesis for that lesson for me was that we were busy living in so many other people's homes. And at the beginning, I was like, why do they do it this way? Why is there no hot water? Where's the clothes dryer? Why can't I have a big cup of coffee? I mean, the things that you think about as
Mhm.
Americans traveling.
Mhm.
And there was a shift in our thinking after a while. I was like, well, why don't they do it this way? And then kind of, well, why do they do it this way? And I think there was an aha moment that's like, let's just stop for a minute and bloom where we're planted, sort of. And for me, I think for both of us, we decided to go into a home and say, okay, this is how they live. Can we live how they live? And that was kind of I think that
Yeah, I think.
A big shift.
a
Yeah,
big
I
shift.
mean, as travelers, you're the foreigner. We were the foreigner in 95 countries. We got to see lots of different cultures. And I think one of the takeaways is, as kind of the Muppets said in the Muppets Take Manhattan,
I love it when somebody quotes the Muppets.
peoples is peoples. And
You got an Italian guy. People's is a people's.
yeah, I mean, there's just so many different ways to do it, so many different social contracts, written or unwritten, around the world, different cultures about how things go. I think for those people that are familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, little triangle down here, we all need shelter and food, and we move up to the ladder as we get more and more affluent or solve problems and I just think that applies all over the world. We all just do it in different ways.
Yeah, and we would observe people doing things that we'd say, I can't believe that they live like that or that they're comfortable with that. And in the end, it's like, who's to say? I mean, our way is not the best way. And their way is, it's bringing them contentment and their families are safe and they're secure and they're able to thrive, then there you go.
Yeah.
That's what I tell my tour members at our opening meeting. It's don't be judgy Judgerson. I don't actually say it like that, but it's not better or worse than back home. It's different.
It's different.
So just take it.
And embrace the difference. And that's where the growth comes from.
Do you
Yeah.
have anything you want to add?
Well, I'd say up next.
Okay, cool. We're going to talk about languages now, and we are going to talk about the language of courtesy. And that was something that was really important to you. So I know that there are people out there who are thinking, do you speak all these other languages? Like, how did you get around? I can't leave the US because I only speak English. So was it a big stumbling block?
I think the answer is no. And I mean, there's a million reasons not to do things, not to travel. And one of them is, well, I don't speak that many languages. And You know, I tried so hard to learn French, and Debbie's worked at Spanish, but in the countries we visited, there's over 50 languages that are just the basic language. So if you were to if you were to be multi-language, if you spoke 3 or 4 languages,
Pick a language. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's still not gonna cover you.
it's still not going to
everywhere.
cover you,
But
and you're never
weird.
going to get a chance to go to that country. It's just not a good reason not to go there. How's that?
That's
Yeah,
fair.
that's exactly right.
although I admire anyone who speaks a second language,
Of
and to
course.
be able to go to a country like France and use your French is great. And it kind of makes me think about what we decided is that if you're polite, if you approach people with kindness and politeness, and maybe even a few phrases in their language, you'd be surprised who speaks English. And we're all blessed that speak English as our first language, because you can find an English speaker in almost any country, I think. And we just decided to slow down, approach people slowly, observe what are the norms in the restaurants, what are the norms in the shops, what are the norms in what you wear.
Mhm.
I think it's really important, especially if you're in Muslim countries, to follow protocol. And then you can start to make friends. But, you know, if you're not dressed appropriately, that's much more difficult. And I just think we just found a lot of people that were either shy, didn't want to speak English, or nervous, or taciturn. I don't know, but we got through that.
Yeah, and I think
Otherwise, you couldn't go to 95 countries.
yeah, and I mean, just a few words. I mean, even bonjour or gracias, or you know, my one Russian word is spasibo, which I'm probably absolutely ruining by trying to say it. It means thank you.
Oh,
So yeah, just I think being polite in a few words
yeah.
should 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 not hold you back from going to other countries.
No, and it should be, I think it should be your norm. I think learning a few words of the local language is important to be a good guest. To speak the language of courtesy is to know how to say please, thank you.
And here's a flip side of that coin. I feel like when we meet people from another country that speak English, even if it's not very good, we just think it's wonderful. And we don't correct, and we don't say, oh, that's not how you say something. We just are happy to have a communication.
Mhm.
And of course, thank the Lord for Google Translate.
Totally.
You
Did
know,
you use Google Translate?
Oh my God.
very often?
it
All the
was-
time.
It was rough and ready at the beginning, but you know, now it's better, but I think it wasn't as good as it is now. But yes, we used it all the time,
Yeah, absolutely.
especially like in grocery shopping,
Mhm. Yeah,
you know,
or the pharmacy.
or the pharmacy, or yeah,
Or
and
directions, or
well, all
getting
that,
on
yeah,
buses.
yeah. It's funny because Michael likes non-fat milk.
All right, Michael.
I
Okay,
don't know why.
sorry.
I don't know why. So I go to grocery stores trying to find non-fat milk. I think in every other country, that's an oxymoron. You want what? It's like, you know, milk with
Okay,
no
okay,
fat.
okay. We got it.
Well, but I, you know,
Move on.
I'd have to like, you know, really try to translate that and find out. It just didn't happen. But here's that we have a picture that's kind of fun, because also what happened was we had a lot of school children when they saw us, two gray-haired Americans, sometimes in places where you don't see tourists very often. This wouldn't be the case as Japan, but other countries, especially like Uzbekistan and, you know, in Thailand and other places, they would just streamline for us to speak English. And they didn't speak very much of it, but it was so cute. It was like, hello, my name's Annika, and then how are you? What time is it? I mean, they can really have conversations, but it was really fun.
I'm gonna jump in here because I went to India last December. And I know
Oh,
you guys
okay.
went to India. And I'm gonna talk about it next week. So if you want to join me next Monday, I'm gonna talk about my trip to Southern India. But did you find, like, how many places did you find that you were like a little rock star just from being Western? Like, people in India just came up to us and wanted their pictures taken, and one
Oh.
of them like handed us their baby,
Yeah,
and which I loved. I
yeah,
sniffed the little baby's
yeah.
head. But how often did that happen to you?
Yeah, often. I mean,
Often,
yeah.
often, you know, families would pull us into pictures and stuff. It was like so cute. In India, yeah, that happened quite a bit.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so these young women, is this in Tokyo or
I'm not
with
sure
the
where
baseball?
we are exactly.
Oh, that's what happens when you go to 95 different
Uh-huh.
countries.
That's right. But anyway, they were adorable.
Okay, let's see. What do we have next? Lesson number 6. Yeah, I shouldn't have stopped sharing the
Oh,
screen.
Yeah, India.
India, let's talk.
So speaking of experiences, when we were in India, we decided, we were in Rajasthan, to not use trains to get around. We decided to hire a driving service, which sounds fancy, but it was really quite affordable. And so we had a driver that would pick us up in one city and drive us to the next.
Mhm.
And they became our de facto travel guides because they spoke English.
Mhm.
And Michael, of course, struck up a friendship with the owner. And so when it was time for Diwali, the owner invited us to his home to celebrate. So we went to his apartment and,
What's Diwali, Debbie?
oh, Diwali was the festival of goods, good, well, it's festival of lights, but it's the celebration of good
Okay,
conquering evil.
okay.
Oh, okay.
And fireworks are very much a big part of this. I mean, a very big part of this. So we went to their house for dinner. It was lovely. They had two young kids, maybe a girl that was 3 and a boy that was 5. There were candles all over the floor and the kids were running around. So talk about, this is how they do things. This is fine. You light your children on fire. And then after dinner, the owner, do you remember his name? I do, but I can't, it's somewhere in my notes. Anyway, lovely man. And his brother went into the bedroom and pulled out huge garbage bags full of fireworks. And we all went down to the basketball courts behind the apartment complex to light fireworks, literally. Now, here in Seattle, if you light a sparkler, I think you get arrested, right? I mean, you just can
Well,
hardly,
Not in Bothell, but
not in
yeah.
Bothell. Well, you know, anyway, it was crazy. They had the men were all having like booty wars. It's like, what do you, my pyro booty is bigger than your pyro booty, and rockets and things. And the kids had sparklers that were 3 feet long and they were hot at the end and they could go run around and light rockets. And it was
Okay.
just a lesson in free parenting, freestyle parenting. Oh, it was really fun. It was fun to do it with a family. So,
That would be
That was a long
so
story,
exciting.
sorry.
That's what we're here for.
okay.
Okay, so getting on to the next lesson. It is lesson number 6. We are braver than we thought. And I feel like I'm very interested in this section. I think that there's got to be some situations that taught you that you were braver than you thought. And I want you to share them with us because I really feel like there's some stories here.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, people think that we're brave because we did this. I don't know if we were that much braver than other people, but we were brave. So we in a lot of the Airbnbs that we went to, and especially in Eastern Europe or in Central Asia.
Africa.
What?
In Africa.
Yeah,
They were,
exactly. You know, the outside of the building can look pretty dodgy, and you get to the address and you're ready to go in, and you're going like, "Ugh, do I really want to go in there?" But you do, and you go in, and you make your way to the actual Airbnb, and
hopefully your host is with you.
the host is with you.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. Well, it turns out to be nicer. It is as nice as it was advertised. That's the point that Debbie wants to make. So don't be scared going in the building. I guess that's the story.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think that, when we did approach a scary building, I think most of the times we didn't go into them by ourselves. A host would take us and like they opened it. No, is that not true?
No,
That is not true.
No.
Anyway, the point is that you have to trust the Airbnb listing because
Yeah, let's
a lot of
talk
people
about
that
this.
own beautiful apartments that are affordable in those countries don't have any control over the outside of the building. There's no HOA. They don't have control of the inside of the building. You go up some very rickety staircases or get in elevators that haven't been serviced since the 50s. And you just say, there we go. And you get to the front door and you walk in and it's, whoa, it looks like it does in the pictures.
Now, you said something a long time ago that I always thought was kind of funny. What did you find in most Airbnbs? Because there was like a theme.
IKEA?
Yes.
Oh, it's that silver fruit bowl again. I know that one. But you know what? There's some that's like, it brings you the same comfort as occasionally you just have to go to McDonald's. It's
Mhm.
like, I know this works. I know how this works. I've seen this before.
Yeah.
I really felt like in some European Airbnbs that every kitchen, so we stayed in 330 different homes.
330.
So that's a lot of showers, that's a lot of kitchens, that's a lot of beds. And after a while, there was some, some regularity, but there were some ovens that I would just stare at and say, you can't be serious, and just poke and poke and poke. And it was when I first learned that some ovens, you have to turn the timer on before the oven will heat.
Oh, really?
They don't teach you that.
No.
Anyway, or my favorite is when you leave a building in Europe and there's a light that opens, when you walk in the door, there's a button hidden on the wall somewhere, some secret button that turns on the lights. And if you can't find that button, you're completely in the dark, right? Oh, he's
Or the
not.
button
Yeah.
to get out.
Yeah.
Or the
Yeah.
button to get out, the button to get out. But anyway, we digress.
Oh,
But-
no, but this is important stuff. I want to say, yes, this reminds me of the first time I went to Britain and nobody told me that the electrical outlets had a little on-off switch. So
Ah.
it didn't matter that you plugged in, you had to turn that switch on. But
The little things, but that's not so much bravery, but bravery, you've been knowing this. You go to a subway system in a new country and you just go. And you just know you're gonna figure it out. You're gonna take the basic principles of subway riding.
mhm,
And we've both been to doctors in many countries.
Yep.
I had surgery on emergency surgery on a broken shoulder in Mexico. Michael's had dental work done in Malta. I got a horrible infection in Tunisia. Michael's had doctor care in Tashkent and Rio de Janeiro
Argentina.
and
Yeah, there's,
because
turns out there's doctors all over the world.
people ask us about that all the time. Listen, you can go to the doctor. Most of them speak English. It's way more affordable. I mean, I know there's medical tourism, but I'm just saying, if you travel, don't worry about getting sick. And we've been able to find medication. Almost everything that we take, we found in other countries. Have you?
yes, I have. I have had a lot of medical experiences, both myself and my tour members.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so yeah, I have been to a lot of hospitals and emergency rooms. But so as an American, it is my obligation to ask you, what about medical insurance for people on the road? Because we live in a fear of medical bankruptcies in America. So how did you guys handle that?
Like going into a hospital in France and you leave and there's no charge?
We bought travel insurance
We did.
for outside the US.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's the shortest answer.
Do you have anybody you want to recommend? Did you like it well enough to recommend it?
Well,
You can politely say no.
the nice people at International Medical Group are happy to answer the phone, sell you things, accept your money.
Mhm.
We didn't make a claim, so I can't really attest to whether that was a good decision or not. But we slept better at night knowing that we had that.
Yeah, no, I understand that because when I go on trips myself, it's like, do I get I've gotten travel insurance for 2 trips. One of the one was the trip to India. But if you don't file a claim, you don't
know.
How do you know if it
Yeah.
was worthwhile or not? So
If you have one more minute.
I got all the minutes for you, Debbie.
Thank you. So we have a Facebook group and it's currently at 22,000 and change members. You can join it. So if you go to our website, seniornomads.com, there's a join button on the front page. But if you go there, you can search on topics, and the topic of healthcare while traveling is one of the most often asked. And there's a whole bunch of travelers on our site that have answered this question a dozen times, well, 10 dozen times, about prescription drugs, how to travel with them, what can you get when you're traveling,
Mhm.
what kind of insurance should you have, how does Medicare work, and where does it come into play? And it's far more, it's robust, far more than we can explain right now, but.
Do you want to
Yeah.
add anything to that?
No, that's great.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, so lesson number 7
Mhm.
is a good one. Let's make sure that comes up. I must be doing it in the wrong order. Oh, you want to tell the people what this
Oh.
is?
It's an example of a building where it was a fabulous Airbnb in there somewhere, but it was a dark and scary entrance and it was a dark and scary stairway with our bags all the way up to some dark and scary floor, and then it
There
was
you go.
beautiful.
And then it was okay,
Mm,
full of
okay.
IKEA furniture and Goodwill.
Mhm.
Not from Goodwill.
No, and Goodwill, like
Lots in, yes, okay.
happiness,
Happiness.
hospitality. Okay, lesson number 7. It's not what happens, it's how you respond. And this sounds a little bit like there might have been some travel horror stories. Are there any scars? What lessons did you learn?
I think when don't go your way, just count to 10 or 3 or something and kind of go through your options of what you can do about it.
And what you can't.
And what you can't. I think this is a good short example. People who choose to stay in Airbnbs or Booking.com or VRBO or whatever, and things don't go right in their mind, and they want to call the company and complain and have somebody come fix it. And so I think we decided from the outset that we would develop a relationship with the host and try. They became our friend in the next city even before we got there. And if something wasn't working the way we thought it should, we reached out to them first and not just kind of called Airbnb.
Wait till, or wait
That's
till
for the
we left.
manager.
Exactly.
Or
Yeah.
wait till after we left to write a review that wasn't very
Yeah,
positive,
exactly.
because they might have chosen to fix it,
Yeah.
so.
I mean, so we had examples. We stayed in a place in Malta, on the island of Gozo.
There are multiple islands in
There,
Malta?
well,
Well,
not
we
that
know
many,
that at
but
the
there's a little
time.
island of Gozo. Yeah, and we were visited by ants, a lot of ants. And we finally decided that we'd had enough ants in the place and it was time to go. Yeah, so we graciously extricated ourselves, continued to pay for the extra night or two that we had already booked and just kind of went on our way and booked another place.
Yeah. But
So
they were great hosts.
yeah, and we had a place in Azerbaijan. The capital is Baku, and it was the worst bed, the 330 beds ever.
I think we sat on it and both fell into the middle.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean, it was
thank
just awful.
But we fixed it.
But rather than kind of making a big fuss out of it, we kind of just tried to kind of go with the flow.
Well, we went and
we-
got couch cushions and everything else to make it to where we could lay on
And
it.
the host turned out to be a guy and he was really nice. And so he ended up taking me to a football match with
Yeah,
he
nice
and
for
some of
him.
his friends.
Yeah, you didn't get anything out of it, but
Yeah.
Right.
So anyway, I think when stuff happens, just try and go with the flow and
Well, it's attitude is everything, which is the mantra that we, raised our kids on. You just have to have a good attitude and,
yeah, I
we
think
were able
yeah,
to
attitude is everything. Look on the bright side.
look at the time you booked 7 trains to go on a
yeah, let's not go.
2-city journey.
Let's go on to the next lesson.
Oh,
Oh, he booked how many trains?
well, 7 trains to get from Paris, France to Hamburg, Germany.
Is that not a direct train?
Yeah, it's not a direct, but there's something less than 7.
Should we move on?
Oh.
Because the next lesson's really appropriate.
All right, I don't want to make you uncomfortable.
No,
so
no,
if you-
this
if you-
lesson's gonna address what
Okay,
issue
What is
she's-
it?
Well, you're gonna
Forgive
find out in a
and
minute,
forget.
as soon as Lisa calls up the next lesson.
Oh,
lesson number 8, forgive and forget.
you want me to
So
forget about that?
Okay,
I'd
so
like some marriage and relationship advice in this, please. 'Cause,
Debbie
you're
has
still
not-
in love.
Debbie has not forgotten that one time I booked us from Paris to Hamburg. And I found a train, series of trains. There's no direct train. A series of trains that was fit the budget. And
Captain spreadsheet.
So anyway,
Google Planner.
yeah, we took train number 1 and train number 2. The facts don't really matter so
Well,
much.
they kind of matter that we were carrying those great big bags and we had no idea, at train stations, you all know, is there an elevator, is it an escalator, or is it you just go down, down, down? For every stair you go down, you're gonna cross a hall and go
Up,
So what's the name of the place where we got on the wrong train?
Mannheim.
Oh, Mannheim.
We were on our
We
way to
got to
Hamburg.
Mannheim and we're supposed to change to get on a train. And we got to the platform and there was a train there and the doors were open. I was like, oh, great, our train's here. Yeah, but as it turns out, the real train that we're supposed to take was going to arrive like 10 minutes later. And this train was also going to Mannheim.
And so we got settled in our seats and we were so happy, we were tired. And we asked the guy, was like, this is going to Mannheim, right? And he said, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the train.
It turns
started
out
to
it was the milk run and it was going to go, like make 30 stops in 10 miles or something. And the fast train that we were supposed to catch, just zizzed by us. So it took the whole day and it was, but
But we decided,
as the lesson says,
We
I'm sure
started-
you forgave and forgot.
well,
No,
yeah, but
You
what
didn't
we,
forget.
I'm still thinking about it.
Okay,
But we danced on the train. We decided there was nothing else to do, so we just slow danced in the vestibule.
I mean,
You're gonna
that's,
read something from the book. Read.
Oh,
that is why I believe in them for marital advice.
well, what are you gonna do? You know,
Well,
so this chapter that we're in right now is called Forgive and Forget. And it was hard to write because it was a chapter about our relationship.
mhm.
And I think there's 3 questions we're asked quite often, and one of them is, how do you travel together 24 hours a day? You know, you're
I asked
together.
you that.
Yeah, I mean, you are keeping us apart
I'm sorry.
because usually we're closer together than this.
I'm just the one who has
We're
to do
just,
the.
I know, we're just, Michael's happy to be an airplane seat away from me, and sometimes I need space, but we both need space, and it's the less, so writing
What are
about
you
it
trying to
was,
say?
I'm trying to say that we found ways to make it work.
We did because it's just the 2 of us. I think that was a lesson we learned early on. We needed to work together
Mhm.
to make the decisions together about where we went and where we stayed.
A committee of 2, a board of
Yeah,
2, I'm just like,
jokingly say, there's 2 people on the board of directors, there's 2 people on the committee, there's 2 people on the task force. It's the same 2 people all the time. So we just had to learn how to, find compromises that work for both of us.
yeah. So like I said, it was kind of a hard chapter to write, but here's the book. So in this lesson, I did write this, which I think was kind of
It's
profound.
important.
Profound, okay.
So, and I did call Michael Captain Spreadsheet earlier, so he keeps track of everything. He has kept track of our game scores for 12 years. Backgammon, Scrabble, cribbage, dominoes. Every game, every score, where we played.
Isn't it helpful?
Is it?
Yeah.
But the thing about it that's interesting is we're just about neck and neck.
Okay.
When he runs the numbers, which he likes to do. Anyway, so I said this. We do our best to have a no-fault marriage. Over the 50 years we've been together, probably an equal number of mishaps have happened to either one of us, and that means we don't blame or shame each other when something goes wrong. Luckily, unlike our game results, Michael doesn't keep a spreadsheet for mistakes because we don't keep score. That no-fault attitude has served us well as senior nomads. Between us, we've left bags behind, had things stolen, taken the wrong train, missed a flight, fallen over, lost a phone, lost a Kindle, or lost our patience. But as the sentiment on a card I gave Michael 20 years ago says, as long as we have snacks and each other, we'll be fine. That's so true.
Oh,
Yeah,
that is so
well,
And I
sweet.
said, luckily, I'm in charge of snacks.
You are in charge of fun and provisions.
Hmm.
Okay, so we're gonna go on to lesson number 9. That is. Oh, there's a card.
Oh, right.
I'm so lucky to be married to you.
Well, and this goes back to not buying anything. So we don't buy cards. We just take pictures of them and said, if I bought this card, this is what it would say.
Okay, let's move on. Let's move
Very
on.
nice.
Did we talk about rowing in this?
We
section?
didn't, but we will.
We will.
Okay.
Okay, so lesson number 9,
down.
time is a gift. So Rick always says that Americans have the shortest vacations in the Western world. But by being retired, this wasn't an issue. So how did time factor into your trip?
Well, we often said, what if we got the time? And that came after a lot of experimentation on probably traveling too fast. And then we got to a point where we were slowing down. But what does it mean to you, Michael?
Well, I think we
Take your time.
yeah, thank you very much. I'm trying to think of where to start. Getting to the airport on time. Or,
Early.
getting places early. Why did you want to push the edge of the envelope? We have time, so let's just get there early. On the other hand, you don't know how much time you have on this earth, and so there's a lot of world to see. And so, how long do you want to stay in every country? How long do you want to stay in every city? And if we picked a city and we said, well, I don't know, 5 days seems like enough, or we really want to stay there for 2 weeks, or well, maybe 3 days is enough. We always said we can always go back. I mean, if we didn't book long enough. And in many cases we did. We went back to
We went
cities,
back and
cities
stayed on.
multiple times. So I think it's also planning versus leaving room for serendipity.
Right. And we talked about that earlier, but leave white space on the calendar because you could be with someone having a conversation and you're really enjoying their company and they say, well, would you like to go have a beer? Can, come to our house for dinner, which happen often. And if you're booked,
Yeah.
you can't. That doesn't mean, of course, you wouldn't book a few things. But as I said, we had people that we met that had booked everything. And we were proponents of keep white space because that's where the magic happens.
Yeah.
Okay, then we shall go to lesson number 10. Use every tool in the toolbox. So what did you mean by that? And what were some of your favorite tools?
So I think what we meant by that is be open, be willing to be a beginner, try new things, try new apps. I guess when Rick went on his hippie tour to India, however many years ago, we probably didn't have an internet, and we didn't have smartphones and apps and all those sorts of things, and that's just changing and developing all the time. Even over the 12 years that we were traveling, things got better and better and more sophisticated all the time. We used to have SIM cards and get to a country and put in a SIM card so we could have a local phone number so that we wouldn't spend so much money on data and so forth. And now the US apps, the US carriers offer such really attractive packages that you can land with a T-Mobile account, and I assume the others as well, in any country in the world, 200 and some countries, and your phone just clicks on and off you go with
Yeah.
unlimited data. But I want to talk about the apps. We tried not to be scared. We're willing to, what's Rome to Rio? Like, oh, that's a really cool app. Or what about Skyscanner? That's a cool app. Well, those probably sound ancient today because now there's newer apps and it's always changing. But we tried to adopt whatever technology we could learn and use every tool in the toolbox
We used
to
to get
make
so
our travel
frustrated
easier.
when Airbnb would change their app. It was like, oh. Or when we first started to book them, we had to book on our laptops and not on our phones. And they're like, why don't you use your phone? People would say, and it's like, well, it's too small. I don't know. But I mean, you adapt, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
But we also found that there's plenty of tools that are not on a device or on a computer. And I'm a graphic designer. I draw things. And so many times a good sketch would get you a long way. I was telling Lisa, we went to a hardware store in Armenia and we needed a toilet plunger and we needed one now. And we went in there and it was like, I was trying to do charades like my hair and ding, ding. And he was like, hair, ding. I don't understand. But I drew one on a back of a receipt and he was like,
I
drew
got
what?
you.
a
plunger.
Okay.
What do you think I drew? Anyway, so he came out of the back of the plunger. Or, sometimes just asking the person,
Mhm.
gets it done. But,
Humans.
humans. So humans and tools. So I have time to tell a story. In 2017, Michael and I had seen the Robert De Niro movie with Robert De Niro and Anne Hathaway called The Intern.
Oh, yes. Mhm.
And so we had a relationship with Airbnb, just because we were their largest user. I think we might still hold that record, individual user of Airbnb. And so they didn't support us financially or anything, but we were, we spoke at things for them and we had a relationship. It was really fun. And I called Chip Conley, who was the director of global hospitality at the time, and said, you know what, Chip, I think Michael and I should come to Airbnb and be senior interns. And they thought that was a really good idea. So we moved to San Francisco for 3 months and worked at Airbnb headquarters, where the average age of the 2,000 plus employees in that building is 28, including the founders, which were in their late 30s and early 40s. So we looked like lost grandparents more than we looked like employees, but we had badges. We were badgers.
There were lanyards involved.
But there were lanyards
Yeah,
involved.
laptops.
That's right. We were there for Bacon Monday. We got it. Anyway, so we had desks and all that. And so after we got settled in that first day, Michael we were in the marketing department, which was fun. Michael turned to the kid 2 desks down and said, where's the printer? We could use a printer. And he was like, a what? It's like, a printer, paper.
Really?
Oh, and he was like, there might be one. So they found a printer in a corner that the whole floor uses, but he didn't know how to use it. So we're like, okay, well, let's table that for the minute. But then could we have some file folders, a stapler, some paper clips, maybe a highlighter pen, a few things? And they were like, whoa. So eventually we were able to get those things too. But the best part was we had a project. We were going to create a guest loyalty program for them. And so we needed to create a presentation for the founders. And so we started storyboarding it on a wall. There's a picture, I think, in here. Did we save that one?
Let's see.
Um,
Keep going.
and so anyway, we were putting out Post-its and sketches and drawings and moving things around. And pretty soon we got kind of an audience.
Yeah.
Maybe we didn't, but
Yeah, sorry.
anyway, it was really fun. So the kids would come around going, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, we're building a presentation. So we're going to have some headlines here and some stories here and some pictures here. And this is the slides we want to create and stuff." And it was really good. The presentation was good. We did it in Keynote, I think. Anyway, by the time we were done, I'd like to say we saw some Post-its around the walls and we saw some printers coming to life. So
Okay.
we taught them a few things.
And we learned how to use Google Docs.
Yes, we did. We learned some things too. Yes, we
Very
did.
nice. Okay. So let's see. Lesson number 11 is keep a daily journal. And I wish that I had the discipline to do this. I think it's such a good idea, but I don't. So what?
You want to show a picture of it at this point? Because we might as well
Yeah.
start with that.
Thank
'cause
you.
That's what it looks like. And Michael will tell you the story of how this came to be.
So we arrived in Paris in July of 2013. Again, not knowing whether this was a 6-month or longer journey. And I don't know why, but somehow it just got in my head we should have a journal. And it wasn't the day we landed. But a couple of weeks after we'd been there, I went to the local grocery store, Carrefour, and kind of looked around and thought, well, maybe I'll get a
Notebook?
A
notebook.
notebook.
A notebook, yeah. So I bought a notebook. And came home and I said, we should really have a notebook. We should write like, I don't know, 1 page for every day. And so this was day 17. So as only I could do, I counted off 17 pages and then put us on page 17.
Heaven forbid.
And then I went back and kind of tried to wrote a few little notes on the first few pages of things we did. So then in earnest on
Day
day
17.
17, we started 1 page a day. And it was a habit. It was a good habit. And we did that every day for
and
12 years.
But the pushback on my end, he came home and said, "This is going to be great because we can write down every expense that we had today, as long with other things that we did." And it was like every expense. So like the next day, I bought like a Diet Coke or something. "Do you have the receipt for that?" And I was like, So at the beginning, we were very disciplined.
She's totally exaggerating.
No, that's not
It's
true.
the full page, as you could see, we wrote down all the things we did during the day, and then a little down at the bottom, maybe we make a notation.
But we added up every
We
expense of the
did,
day.
yes. And
So we always knew.
we
and-
transferred them to a spreadsheet.
Yeah, of course you did.
Oh.
That's your jellies. But the thing about that was we could see what our spending trend was. And all of a sudden we could say on a Wednesday, hey, if we had a couple of 0 days, then we can have a nice dinner out on Sunday. I mean, it was really
So we filled 33 of
33 of them.
33. We have them all.
We have them
down.
all. Best souvenirs of all. They're
Absolutely the best
best.
souvenirs.
And they're all on a shelf and you can pull down one any given day and just flip forward and you just are right there.
That is, well, like I said, I wish that I had the discipline to do this. I had dear friends who took a year and went around the world and they journaled every day and they came home, they got it bound into 3 different,
Yeah.
and so they have a book of their year. And so I think it's very smart.
I wish ours were that pretty, but they did help me write 250 blogs because I could go back and say what happened on that day. So someday we could print and bind those, but the journals are just precious.
Okay, and our last lesson is
Ta-da.
lesson number 12, and that is home is where we laid our pillows. That, I think there is something to be said there. There's a story there.
Well, we are not the people you see wandering through the airport in their jammies with pillows,
Okay, good.
right?
I mean, not to judge.
But we are. But we did decide at the last minute to smush our bed pillows down in our duffel bags, and they became as precious as our passports. They are what we used as a routine to turn these 330 dwellings into homes. We'd go in the door and Michael would go this way and set up all the electronics. I'd go in the kitchen, see what we had to cook with. We'd make our shopping list and whatever, but the most important thing was to go in the bedroom and just fluff our pillows and set them down, and that was home.
So I think people ask us a lot, you know, didn't you miss home? Or so like we didn't have a home. We didn't have a home. And when you don't have a home, wherever you are, is your home? So the answer is no, we didn't miss home because we didn't have one. And our mindset was our home is wherever we are with our pillows and the two of us. And so I think that was really critical to our mindset for those 12 years, that we weren't pining for home. We weren't wishing we were home.
And if you got
It's really good that we didn't have home.
Yeah, because if, you know, not that there's a lot of you I know that want to do this or travel and keep your home. And if we could have afforded it, I don't know if we would have changed our thinking. I don't know, but it kept us from, it kept the escape valve closed, because you couldn't say, I want to do this anymore. I want to go home.
Yeah.
And as I said in the book, that's a pity party we couldn't attend because we didn't have a home. So it was like, okay, if you feel that way for a minute, it's fine. Totally understandable. But next week we're going to go here and it's going to be amazing and it's going to be even better. And you just get over that little hump. But the pillows were, it was kind of a ritual, and rituals are important. Yeah.
Rituals are. So you had something that you wanted to finish up with. You wanted to read something from the book.
A wee bit of wisdom at the end, and it kind of really where this came from. It was in the chapter about, you know, having time is a gift, because we have 6 grandchildren. The youngest is 4, and that's one of the reasons that we did kind of stop. All of the reasons that we would keep traveling still exist.
We're still traveling.
And we're still traveling, yeah. But it was time to slow down. And one thing about having grandchildren is you end up having a lot of time for them. You know, you have time to stop and look at ladybugs and linger over breakfast, and you know, you can wear your jammies all day, you know, kind of those things. And so we kind of gave that gift to ourselves, and the timing for our travels kind of came down to this. We did not travel because we suddenly had money. We did not travel because we suddenly discovered Airbnb. And we did not travel because we suddenly became adventuresome. We traveled because the time was right. It was just the right time. And if it's the right time for you or someone you know, I mean, you just have to go when you're ready to go, right?
Yeah, Debbie had said for a number of years up until this departure that we had one more adventure in us, because we have had a wonderful life and had many, many adventures. And we didn't know what that one more adventure was going to be. So to tie it back to the very beginning, when Mary said, why don't you just retire and travel the world and live in Airbnbs? We were ready. We were ready for that idea, and it proved to be the one more adventure. And we're really thankful that we, you know, opened that door and did it. Yeah.
And you don't have to go for 12 years. Most sane people would not. But you can go for a while and travel, whether it's to any new city, any new place, for any length of time is a growth. It's personal growth, and it's really an amazing way to spend your time, as you know.
I do. It's not better or worse. It's just different.
It's just different, seeing things differently.
Well, I would like to thank Debbie and Michael for joining me tonight, and their new book, 12 Lessons from 12 Years of Travel, is available now on Amazon. This came out last week, right?
You can get, yeah.
I checked, it's on Amazon, and Emily put the link in. And our sponsor this evening, because we do work for Rick Steves, is our book, Europe Through the Back Door, because this is the travel skills book. And I bet
that's the best one.
It is the best one.
The original one.
It's the original one. It's the one that's most important. It's the one you read before you leave. And I know that Debbie and Michael used lots and lots of skills that they may have read in this book once upon a time.
Well, and you know, our daughter Mary, how you know her, she worked for Rick Steves, and one of the tips, I can talk. Tips, thank you, that she shared, that Rick just shared last week, was tearing pieces out of the guidebook, which sounds just like a sin, but
oh no, you got to do it.
Find the city you want and tear it out. And
what is that? That's like 3 pounds right
heavy,
there.
yeah, but that's a great.
So this is the one you read before you go anyway. So Emily has been diligently messaging me with your questions from the Q&A. So I'm just going to start with some of them. Let's see. Well, David Young would like to say hello from Facebook. A couple years ago, you met him in Samarkand. Samarkand?
Samarkand, okay.
Samarkand,
Yeah.
Uzbekistan. Alistair says, what is one country recommended for travelers? Wait a minute. Oh, Alistair Campbell, I know you.
You
What is
planned the son?
Yeah, your grandson Spencer wants to know, what is one country recommended travelers don't visit?
Oh, I'd get so much trouble if I said the one that comes to mind.
Oh. It's your grandson.
What? Don't be so quiet.
Egypt. I just didn't love it.
Okay, fair
Okay,
enough.
there you go. You said it.
That's all right.
I mean, God bless them and their history and the amazing things you can see there about.
And they're brand new. Did you go to the brand new museum?
No, we missed that.
Yeah, me too. Well, some of my colleagues are going to go to Egypt. So if you're interested in Egypt, we will probably have a Monday night travel on it.
Save me, Michael. Do you have a country? Just toss one out.
You shouldn't go to Iran now, but I can't wait to go in the future.
Okay.
There you go.
Colleen wants to know, would you recommend this for a solo woman traveler? That's a good question.
I get that question a lot, and there are a lot of Facebook groups for solo women travelers. If it were me and I was doing it, I would stay in Airbnbs in a private room in a house with a host. Female hosts, so that you have a friend in the next city and you're staying in a room where someone's expecting you and knows you're coming and going. That's my major tip on that.
Okay. I'm not going to ask you because you don't know.
No, I don't know.
Veronica would like to know, what are your top 3 favorite countries, and did you make friends with anyone you're still connected with? Okay, so top 3.
No real mystery here. The UK, France, Italy.
Okay. UK, France. I thought you might say Georgia because we were talking earlier about Georgian food because
Favorite country necessarily though, favorite countries.
Yeah, and I think we're really glad we went to Uzbekistan. If anybody is adventuresome, I'd encourage them to go to Central Asia.
Yeah.
It's hard to just nail a couple countries. Did we make friends with people? Yes, we did, and friends that we still have and value, and friends that we've gone back to visit them later.
Yep. In the UK and Wales, we have friends. We love Denmark. Uzbekistan is one of my favorites. France, of course, and Italy. I mean, get thee to Italy. All people.
get thee to Italy. Okay.
Oh, and Japan. I love Japan.
Okay.
All right. Tina wants to know, what's in your bags? Can you tell us about your packing list or strategy? Well, we talked about the packing cubes.
Packing cubes, but what are in those mysterious cubes?
Well, it's a good question. I know what's in mine.
We started out taking too many alternative clothes that we didn't need. Now our rule is, no matter if you've worn the same thing several times in the same week, you say to your spouse, you look really nice today.
When we left, I took a sport coat, slacks, 2 dress shirts, 3 ties. I wore them once.
Because you were going to go to Rotary meetings.
Well, yeah, right. But we stopped taking that stuff.
I do pack.
Shorts and T-shirts.
Well, and we travel, since we don't go home, we only go home once a year at Christmas. And when we get home, we take our winter things out, but mostly we have to have layers of all kinds. So, there's a range of clothing types. I am an Allbirds girl. I love my Allbirds. Could wear them all, with anything. And I took some cooking things. I took Henkel's small knife set, a cutting board. For a while I was traveling with a saute pan. Call me crazy.
Okay, crazy.
I'm sorry, Colleen. It's a mix. We're never going to write the packing book.
All right. Okay.
Kindles.
Oh, Kindle.
I love Kindles. Yeah.
So our last question, Kimberly wants to know, actually, I'm going to do two questions. Kimberly says, how did you deal with visa requirements?
On the fly, so many of them you can apply online even though you're not home. The only one that required us to be home was our visas for Russia. And so we were in Belgium and we sent our passports FedEx back to Seattle to a travel company that specialized in that. And then they got the visas and the old-fashioned kind where you actually put the sticker inside on your page, and then they sent them back to us. So we just kind of treaded water for 2 weeks in Belgium waiting for them to come. The rest we were able to obtain e-visas, I think is
Mhm,
people
sure.
are called.
Yeah,
Although-
and can I, oh,
Well, twice we did get French tourist visas that allowed us to be in France for a year, which allowed us to travel in the EU for a year.
Yeah.
So we did that twice, but having a daughter in France was really helpful because, we could use her address and things like that.
yeah, and a French, a retirement visa, right? It's a French retirement visa?
No.
No, it's just
Tourist
an
visa.
extended tourist visa?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
I wanted to just say, because I was just talking with some of my coworkers about this today, is the ETIAS, the ETIAS has been delayed again, and now you won't need it until sometime in 2027. And
Wow.
people call our office day in and day out, what's going to happen? When am I going to need it? And we're like, this has been delayed at least 6 times. So the latest and the greatest is that you won't need it in 2026 if you're traveling to Europe. So, okay, last question. Lane wants to know, did you travel much before your retirement?
Yes, we did. We're really fortunate. When I was very young, I lived in England for a year and then met Debbie and then with our children, we lived in London for 5 years. And meanwhile, we did travel quite a bit. So
Yeah.
yeah, and then we had traveled a lot.
So you had some international travel
We
experience.
did, we
Yeah.
did,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
But,
you had a daughter in France.
Right. And our Alistair and his wife and their 2 kids,
Spencer and
Lucy
Lucy.
took a year off and became
Junior
nomads,
nomads.
junior nomads. What did they call themselves? The Campbell Amble, and went around the world for a year with their kids. And they just said it was just amazing.
When they were young, 8 and 10, I
8 and
think.
10, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, then maybe I'll get them on next. Okay, well, we would like to thank you so much for joining us. I would like to thank Debbie and Michael for sharing their time. You know, it's
Sure.
not easy to come on Monday Night Travel, but I wrangled them down here and they have been so generous in sharing their information with us. So again, thank you very much.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Lisa. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You
We had a
are,
great time.
you are very, very welcome. So please join me next week. We are going to talk about India. And you can sign up online. Let me see, that working?
All right.
Music should come. Post.